Introduction of vocabulary for linear relationships. This screencast will introduce you to a bunch of different vocabulary terms you'll need to know when working on linear relationships. Let's start with what is a linear relationship. A linear relationship is a relationship in which there is a constant rate of change between two variables. A linear relationship can be represented by a straight line graph and by an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. In the equation, m is the slope of the line and b is the y-intercept. So this equation right here, y equals mx plus b, is called slope-intercept form. We'll be working on writing a lot of equations in this form. So these three graphs all represent linear relationships because they're straight lines and they can be written in this form. Proportional relationships. Two variables have a proportional relationship if the ratio of one variable to the other is constant. The graph of a proportional relationship between x and y is a straight line passing through the origin 0, 0. If the relationship between x and y is proportional, it means that x changes, y changes by the same percentage. So the difference between a proportional relationship and a linear, the major difference is a proportional relationship has to go through the origin 0, 0. So these graphs right here are all linear because they're a straight line, but they're also proportional because they go through 0, 0. To determine whether a graph shows a proportional relationship between x and y, see if it is a straight line that passes through the origin. A coefficient. Coefficient is a number multiplied by a variable in an equation or expression. In a linear equation of the form y equals mx plus b, the number m is a coefficient of x as well as the slope of the line. So y equals 6x plus 2. The coefficient of x is 6. So 6x, the coefficient is 6. This is also the slope of the line in this case. Variables with no numbers in front of it have a coefficient of 1. So if you see an expression like this, b minus 3, it is really saying 1b minus 3. Constant term. A constant term is a number in an equation that is not multiplied by a variable, or it is an amount added to or subtracted from the terms involving variables. So when you have an equation written in slope-intercept form, the y-intercept b is a constant term because it's being added or subtracted from variables, but it is not being multiplied. The effect of the constant term on the graph is to raise or lower the graph. So if I've got this equation y equals 2x plus 9, the constant term is 9. It is the graph of 2x is raised vertically 9 units to give the graph of y equals 2x plus 9. So the effect of the constant term on the graph is to raise or lower it. So if you had a minus 9, it would go down 9 units. A constant becomes a coefficient when placed before and multiplying the variable in an algebraic expression. So when you have a constant, so if you have a number 3, if you place it in front of a variable and make 3x, it becomes a coefficient. So here's just a little equation. So 4x minus 7 equals 5. So the coefficient of the variable is 4. 4 is the coefficient of x. And then 7 and 5 are both constants. Independent variable. One of the two variables in a relationship, its value determines the other value of the other variable called the dependent variable. So independent is on its own. It doesn't depend on it doesn't depend on anything else. So in this example, if you organize a bike tour, the number of people who register to go is the independent variable. So the number of people who register to go determines the cost for renting the bikes, which is the dependent, because the cost depends on the number of people who go. Dependent variable. One of two variables in a relationship, its value depends upon or is determined by the other variable called the independent. So the distance you travel on a car trip depends how long you drive. So the dependent variable is the distance you travel. Is depends on how long you travel in the car, the independent.